Everybody, what's up? I'm Indy. That guy is over there is Jay.
Hey,
I have the green background. I have the green background. You got the white one.
Are you doing the green screen, but with no green screen?
It's just green background. Yeah, no green screen. I'm hardcore that way. That's the reason of having a green screen is just to have it.
Not necessarily you're going to do anything with it, but you have it. That's what's important.
Right. www.twitch.tv/IndieGameBusiness. Yeah, we're here.
Good week.
Yes. I don't know. It's been a little rough, but it's good. It's all good. It all comes around in the end. I got to play some cool games so far.
I did too. I enjoyed playing Regions of Ruin. I get it. I keep wanting to say Rise to Ruin, but that's another indie game. But we played Regions of Ruin yesterday. It was pretty fun. I liked it.
Yeah, I've got some hours in that game, and it's ROR, and I always think Risk of Rain. I don't know if you ever played that game. That game's awesome.
I haven't played that one either.
I've got some hours in Risk of Rain as well. But yeah, Regions of Ruin is great. After you kind of figure out how to work the map and stuff, then it...
Yeah, that was honestly one of the hardest parts I had, is like trying to figure out, and then I was trying to do it with the controller, and I realized that, yes, you can play the action sequences with the controller, but truthfully, for the rest of it, you're better off using your mouse.
You're better off, yeah, for sure, because you got to select stuff.
I kept killed by some orc shaman, and it was like right at the hour mark, and we had to pick up and roll anyway, so I left it at that point. But I mean, I enjoyed that game.
You gotta learn to use a shield and learn to dash. Dashing is important.
Yeah, so I'm not so good at defense.
Yeah.
You
just go in there, ball in, smash. Yeah,
exactly.
That's my problem
even
too.
When I play Reinhardt in Overwatch, it's like I do my role. I'll hold up the shield and keep everybody protected. But the minute it's not, if I'm about to die or shield's going down, or I realize that I have nobody behind me anymore, it's on. Yeah, it's, absolutely on.
That's funny. I'm kind of that way too. I just am. I try to play tanks, but I just, in any other class, I just go in there like I'm a tank. I just go in there like I'm a tank. And it doesn't turn out so well all the time. Holy Miss Molly!
Yeah, bear with me.
We have dogs too. I shut them in the other room though. I'm going to post a tweet out. If you guys could send a tweet out about the stream, that would be awesome.
That sweet little lady walk around trying to get exercise on our road.
And the dogs are like freaking out. Come one, come all, indie devs.
So we got some news put together for today.
Yes.
A couple of cool things happened this week. As I find my notes. So one, I found the Alcupara Games, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, has put together a list of all of the indie game competitions that are going on, all year long. And you can sign up for it, put in your email address, and it actually sends you emails to give you a heads up of when submissions are due and that type of stuff.
Alcupara does? That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I thought that was very cool. I saw that for the first time this week. What else do we have? PlayStation, announced that VR is not growing as much as they would like it to, but VR is growing, but the PlayStation VR is growing, but VR in general isn't exactly growing, which isn't a surprise to anyone. I don't think it's something that's going to die out anytime soon, but having was it the Rift or the Vive came down to like $200? I mean, one of them, that's a good sign.
Well, really, I feel like the only time it's going to blow up is when you can get one for under $100.
Well, you can. I mean, you can get like a Google Daydream or something like that. But
yeah, but that hooks up to your phone. I mean, full on PlayStation or PC VR for $100.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough, but I think we'll eventually get there.
pretty soon they'll probably be like, you know, the cost of a controller, but in a couple years, you know.
Once we're gonna get it that cheap quite yet.
It will. It has to. It has to. Otherwise, those things are just gonna, you know, it's like a slow. But when it becomes cheap enough, well, it's like, you know, the 4K TVs that are like $200 and something now, like a 40-inch 4K TV for $200.
That's
crazy.
Don't have one of those.
I don't have one either.
But there's only so much. But we don't even watch the TV that much anymore. So it's like, do I want to, spend that, or do I want to get a?
Do you have a Roku? Don't you have a Twitch app on your Roku?
Yeah. Wait, the Twitch app isn't on the like the set top Rokus. I couldn't find it.
I have a Twitch app on mine.
Huh.
You can't chat, but it's cool.
I'll go back and look at that. So the other cool thing in the indie world, Wizard of Legend launched, sold over 200,000 copies in the first week.
It's because that's a freaking brilliant game. All right, let's put these links here about VR growing. I'll go ahead and put the links in the chat.
So, the thing to keep in mind about Wizard of Legend, it was actually published by Humble Bundle.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people may not know that Humble Bundle has actually got a publishing division now. And it's not, I don't think this is their first game, but they're fairly new at the publishing end of it. But they launched it across Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. So they did, they had that part, nailed right. They got everything, because when you can get all of your, launches tied at the same time, you can, basically share the risk of all your marketing expenses. So that was a good thing that they had going, and it's always good to see, games like that do well. So
right, but Humble's such a well-known name now.
It is, but they're publishing stuff. A lot of people don't realize that they publish games.
Right, that's true.
I
mean, they might as well. They have the platform to sell them on,
Oh yeah, no kidding.
And that's pretty crazy.
So what else? Anything you've seen?
They also had what is the name of that game that everybody's playing? Something 2. It looks like Warframe. What is that game that everybody's playing?
I have no idea.
Starts with a D. I don't play it, so
let
me look it up.
Check Twitch. Detroit Become Human?
Destiny 2.
Oh, yeah, that's been out forever.
But yeah, they have it on Humble Bundle for super cheap. I've never played Destiny. I look at it and then I look at Warframe and I'm like, oh, they look the same to me. I mean, I haven't spent like copious amounts of time watching, but they just kind of look the same. And Warframe is pretty cool. I mean, it kind of gets old, but so many people have hundreds, if not thousands of hours in it. So that's pretty crazy. Let's see what else happened. There is, what game just launched? There's a couple games that have come out recently. Let me pull it up here. That I liked. Xenosis. And I played this on Wednesday. Xenosis, they hit their goal on Fig. They reached that goal. They were at 95%. And then I streamed, and then the next day they were over 100. Eden Rising Supremacy, that just came out, and that's pretty cool. Machiavellian, which is you were the villain in the game. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but that comes out. Oh, and Creepy Road. Creepy Road was another indie game that I have my eye on that looked pretty awesome. And I've got a key for it. I just haven't played it yet. Badass Hero, that's another one. Badass Hero is coming out soon. Let's see. I don't have the Steam link for it. Badass Hero. Badass Hero. And it's like Metroidvania-ish. The roguelite. Here, I'll post a link for it in the chat. It looks freaking gorgeous. It came out February 24th, but I'm just now seeing it, so but it looks gorgeous.
I have that same problem. It's like, oh, this game is great. Yeah, it came out in 2016.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I knew that.
But it looks super fun. Looks super fun. And really, that's it. Yeah.
So the big thing today is talking about getting ready for some of these conferences. So like way back when in our first episode, we talked about how to follow up, on some of these conferences, but we've got E3 right around the corner. We've got Casual Connect right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
I know there are several more that have to be coming up because, it's summertime.
There's so many of them. Yeah.
There really are. So, we put together some, not really, I mean, it's a guide, it's a checklist, it's, whatever you want to call it, it's all actionable stuff. But, to help get you ready, help get you, focused and make sure that you're going to have a good show, because you have to start thinking about these things months in advance. When we do a lot of work for clients at GDC and helping them get meetings set up, GDC's usually first to mid-March. We actually start working on the show somewhere in late December, and figuring out who's going and who's going to be there, and all that kind of good stuff, so you can be ready when everybody starts scheduling meetings, because you'll have people scheduling meetings, especially with something like E3, 6 weeks before the show starts. And so if you start reaching out like the last week before the show, they'll be like, no, I'm completely and solidly booked up.
Yep. They're usually booked a couple weeks ahead of time.
Yeah. So, we want you to be prepared going in, know what to do, and, know how to go about it, and do all the little basic things that you need to do. So the first thing you have to do is figure out where you're going to go, obviously. You always have to factor in budget, your time, regardless of, how much time that's out of the office. You're talking about time away from your family. There's a lot of different things to factor in there when you start, hunkering down and putting together a budget to decide if you're going to go to the show.
Yeah, you definitely want the best bang for your buck, for sure.
Yeah.
Bang for your buck.
The show passes cost ridiculous amounts of money. And there's many years that, the last year I went to E3, which was I think 2 years ago, I made it into the show like once. I spent all my time over in the JW Hotel lobby, because that's where all the business people were. Everybody was in there hanging out and not dealing with the chaos of the show floor. So you've got to figure out, which ones you're going to go to, and when you're going to do it. And so you need to understand two main things aside from budget, price, and all that kind of good stuff. Who goes from the companies. So for PAX, for example, the people that are there exhibiting are a lot of marketing and producers. It's just because of the target audience of the show itself. When you go look at something like Casual Connect or Pocket Gamer Connects, you're going to have a lot more business people there and executives. And then E3 is going to be mainly like marketing and PR again, and some executives for the bigger show, for the bigger companies as well. And that all correlates to the audience. PAX is for the fans. E3 now is partly for the fans. It's Casual Connect is for business. So if you understand, who the audience is that's going to be there, who's going to be walking around the show floor, and then who's going to be going as exhibitors, it helps you get a better idea of which ones are worth your time. Basically, we don't encourage a lot of our indie clients to go to E3 at all, because that show has become very much about all the AAA publishers. If you put out a press release anywhere within 2 to 3 weeks, before or after the show, it's going to get completely swallowed up. By this year it's going to be Red Dead Revolver or Red Dead Redemption. Which one is it? Redemption or Revolver?
Redemption.
Got it. All right. So that's going to be taking up everybody's mind share. EA is going to have stuff. Blizzard's going to have stuff. It's going to be, all the news is going to come out of those big studios. They're not really going to be looking for a whole lot of indie stuff. Now there are opportunities there. I'm sure Indie Mega Booth's got a place. The Mix is another indie friendly booth type area. But you just need to understand who's going to be there, because it doesn't make sense to go to a lot of these shows if you're not, catering to those audiences.
Yeah, E3 is crazy. I mean, there's one whole building that just has Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo. And then that's it. And then, there's some other stuff, but it's all AAA. But their booths are massive, and they're multi-tiered, and
they spend billions of dollars.
Yeah.
That's what killed E3 years ago. I mean, I've been going to E3. It was in Atlanta, to put my age in perspective. And
back in 1974.
Yeah, I ain't that old. The pricing got so exorbitant. It's like when EA launched the Harry Potter stuff, they built a castle in South Hall. I mean, it was ridiculous. And so, I knew I had gotten too old for E3 when I walked into not the console. I think one of them's South Hall, one of them's East Hall. I can't remember which one's which. The one with the major publishers where EA and Activision and everybody was. I took one step in the door and my head started hurting, and I went, "Oh yeah, this is it. I'm
done
too old for this." Because you can't hear yourself think. And I was trying to explain it to my dad at the time, who's done sales his whole life, and he's like, "I don't understand. You're just going to a conference." I was like, "Nah, Dad, it's not like the conferences you've been to." I said, "Imagine trying to hold a business meeting on stage at a Kiss concert. That's what it's like. You cannot hear the person, 6 inches away from you, and there is a slight chance you'll get hit by pyrotechnics, somewhere in there as well." So, it's, understand why you're going. Yes, I know it's fun, to go and see all this stuff, but at the same time, if you're going for business purposes, you got to make sure that,
you're going for the right reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
Got to have your ducks in the row for sure.
Yeah. So the next step is, what are you going to do when you get there? You got to kind of put together a plan and understand, why are you going? Are you going to meet publishers and try to find a deal? Are you going to take your game and you want to meet with the media and streamers or fans? Are you going to, look at new infrastructure or, service providers to help you with onboarding or monetization or something along those lines? Outline what your goals are. Don't just go and I'm going to go to the show and meet people. Figure out who you're going to meet, understand why you want to go. And that's going to help you, go to, the next stage, which is, actually deciding who you want to meet with. So, to do that, because you got to figure out who's going to actually be there,
right?
And it's not always easy. I mean, you can always look at the sponsors of the show, but you're not going to get. If you're a developer looking for a publisher, there's not going to be that many, publishers that are listed as sponsors. It's going to be people like AdMob and Tapjoy and all of those companies. But the shows always release exhibitor listings, so you can see it there. Some of the shows have, business matchmaking services that go along with it. I know GDC does. I'm not sure if E3 does or not. Casual Connect always do. And it's one of the sites is Meet to Match, which is a great site. It lets you go in and fill out information about your company and then tell the system who you want to meet with. And it spits out a nice little list of companies that you need to meet with, but access to all of that is typically dictated by the companies, and some companies charge you for it. It's you have to get a $200 pass to get access to it. Casual Connect's great. I don't think they charge a dime for it. You can go and even if you just want to go and see who's going to be there, you can still do that through the site. The one thing that I would tell you, though, is make sure you fill out that, form about your company and about who you're looking for completely. We've done work in the past where, you know, we had developers or publishers come to us and say, I'm going to XYZ show, you know, will you help us, you know, find some people that we need to meet with? And we, you know, we do a lot of that. And we're like, yeah. And so one year we had several publishers come to us and said, you know, we want to see, you know, games that we may not know about, you know, can you help us find some? Like, yes, absolutely. But then I start going through some of these sites and it's like, there'll be somebody flagged. It's like, I'm a developer looking for absolutely no info on what the game is, how to get a hold of you, you know, is there a budget that you need? What stage is it at? It's nothing, none of that stuff is in there. And you're absolutely wasting, you know, possible meetings by not filling that stuff in. Now you're also, you know, it's just like email, you're going to get spam. You know, it is not necessarily outside of the show, but there will be companies that are there, you know, just trying to meet with everybody because their bosses said that they had to meet with everybody. And, you know, it's stuff that is completely, you know, outside of what you do and what your company does. And so you just go, hey, look, appreciate it. But, you know, if you're using one of those things, you know, using one of those sites and services, take 10, 20 minutes and fill it out because it really is worth it, you know, just to have it in there, even if you don't necessarily look at it that much anymore.
Right. And you're right about the companies. I've even had that happen on LinkedIn. People will reach out to me, hey, let's schedule a call with about this. And I'm like, I don't really have anything to do with that. So there's not really any point to schedule a call, but then they still want to like schedule a call. And same thing is happening at conferences. People are like, oh, you're a streamer on Twitch. Let's meet about this. And it's something completely irrelevant that I'm like, do you not understand what your audience is? Or, you know, and it takes time because you got to walk over there and then you got to maybe wait and see him. And so
absolutely one of my biggest, I'm sitting here looking at LinkedIn right now. I have 36 invitations pending in LinkedIn. Not a single one of them, this is like from this week, not a single one of them have any sort of note about why they want to connect, you know, what they want to talk about. It's just like, I'm sending you an invite to connect. It drives me.
Well, you know, LinkedIn has that thing is we will go through your inbox and send out an invite to everybody.
Well, no, it's, you know, and that could be it. But, you know, my whole thing is, you know, if you want to connect on LinkedIn, you know, that's fine. But tell me, you know, who you are, what you want to do. Unless I already know you, you know, if I already know you, that's one thing. But, you know, always send like an intro. It's like, hey, you know, here's what we do, or, you know, is there any kind of, you know, hook to go with it? But, you know,
well, it's probably just doing a blanket invite where it invites like 300 people at once or something. Yeah. But I get some weird ones too. Like I had something from a banking something in China. There's a bank manager. But being a streamer, I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it could be somebody that watches my stream that wants to connect. So I'm not exactly sure. But
it's just my biggest like pet peeve in the world. It's like, just send me a note. Tell me why you want to invite. But anyway, LinkedIn, you know, is good because you can go on there and, you know, like go to some of the groups or just send a shout out and say, hey, look, you know, we're going to be at the show. If anyone's going to be there, you know, let us know. It's a good way to, you know, find out who's going and do a little pre-show networking. The other one, and I will apologize to Sebastian that runs the site. I don't know how to pronounce it properly, but Eunoia, and we got a link to it. But
yes, I got it.
This is a good site for indie teams in general because it basically, you know, acts as a social network for your indie games. So, you know, there's a business directory, there's a game feed, you know, you can advertise what you do, but at the same time, you know, actually, I'm just looking right here on their front page. The first thing is Badass Hero. And, you know, it shows you who's following it. You can immediately like send your information to, you know, to a publisher. You can find streamers that way, you know, but you can also, you know, use tools like this and sites like this to, you know, find those opportunities that are going to be at trade shows that you may not know about.
I like that site.
It is. It's a really cool site. And I want to say there's another one that's similar to it, but I cannot for the life of me remember what the name of it is.
Huh.
But I've been, following this site for a little over a year, and it's just, it's done really well, and Sebastian's done a good job of growing it, turning it into something, really good for devs. Other things that you need to make sure you do before, go ahead, and I know Andy talked about this a couple of weeks ago on Streamer. Make sure your game is up on, if it's in a condition or state anyway to be streamed, make sure it's up on Giant Bomb so it shows up on Twitch. Make sure that you've got, if you've got Keymailer set up or you're using that, make sure all your information is in there. It isn't so much for pre-show outreach or anything, but it makes it really easy when you're at the show and you run into somebody, coming out of the bathroom or, just randomly on the show floor, and they're like, hey, look, I'd like to see your game. And you can immediately say, hey, look, we'll send you a link. And, you don't have to worry about it or do it when you get back and all that kind of good stuff. If you've already got the stuff up there, then, have it ready, so you can just kind of like really quickly get it out to people, while you're at the show.
I just posted the link too.
Yeah, that's good.
Customer portal.
So once you know where you're going, who's going to be there, what your primary goals are, create a list. Do it in Excel, do it in Word, do it on the back of a napkin, doesn't matter where. But create you a list of companies that you would like to meet with. And then take that list and, triage it down into, 2 or 3 different tiers. People that you absolutely want to meet with, without a doubt, they're the most important people in the world right now. The people that it would be really good to meet with. And then the people that are, not necessarily a priority, but, if the opportunity comes up, it would be good to, connect, get a little bit of FaceTime, chat while you're at the show. So go through and do that. And then you just need to start, finding those people. If you don't already know the people with those companies, that's where you need to start doing a little bit of research on their website or LinkedIn or, Twitter or wherever, you can find, who the people are that you're going to. If it's pitching to publishers, you want to look for, the biz dev folks or, the producers.
Yeah, and you want to, like for publishers, you want to know what games they've published. So you can say, oh, yeah, it was cool that you guys published da-da-da-da-da game. I really love that. Because if you just go, oh, I don't know who you guys published, but I want to work with you. They're like, well, this person has not done any research. So.
And they may not even do games like you're creating. So it's always in your best interest to do that research anyway, simply because you want to find the best publisher for your game.
Right.
But, especially when it comes to, time at the show floor, time at the show, which is so precious to everybody, it's very important that when you're doing that triage, you do your research. I've got a side-scrolling Switch game, and so I need to look for publishers that have done similar types of games and concentrate right there. So in that case, companies that have published independent side-scrolling games on Switch, or even independent games at all on Switch, are going to be your top priority. Companies that have done indie games on other platforms or PC, that they haven't done it on Switch yet, that's going to be your secondary priority because they are familiar with your type of game. They're probably going to do Switch versions. They haven't done one yet, but it's, well within the realm of reason that it's going to happen. And then, your third tier is going to be, long shot people. But, if you've got everything planned well and you execute on that plan, you're not going to be meeting with that many people from your third tier anyway, because you're going to be meeting with, the more appropriate people along the way. So then you want to start outreach 2 to 4 weeks before the show if you want to have a legitimate chance of getting a meeting. And it's not like I hate on LinkedIn, just send them over, hey, I want to meet with you. you need to look at it in the same lens as if you were actually pitching them the game right then to publish. Send them the information on, this is why you want to meet. Here's screenshots. Here's a demo. Here's a video of our game. If you get to take, if you want to take a look at it, and that, is going to be important whether you're pitching to a publisher or a streamer or a media outlet or, whatever. Don't make them do any more work than they have to, because that's going to get you booted to the side. Tell them exactly who you are, why you want to meet with them, and then give them the proof. Here's the video of Badass Heroes.
Because they're not going to waste their time with something they don't know anything about.
Absolutely not. They're going to be, everybody's looking for a reason to say, they always are.
Right.
So the more you can put in front of them to, and one of the things that we talk about is always, anticipate their responses. Think about it through their eyes. And, the more you can counter those arguments, in an initial email, the better off you're going to be, because they know you've already thought through it and they can read what you've got and say, oh yeah, this is absolutely a good fit for them. And so, do a little bit of explanation and a little bit of pitch in that initial email as well.
Right, because publishers are only going to want to meet with people that they definitely want to publish their game. Those are the first people they're going to want to meet with, and those are the first kind of people they want to sign up already. They're because they don't have time. Maybe closer towards a conference, if they haven't had a full booking, they're going to be like, well, we might be able to get these, this might be a game we might want to sign. They're definitely going to want to meet with people that, oh yes, we want this game, so go get them. That's because that's what they're thinking.
And a lot of times they'll have, some of the more junior members of the team wandering the show floor and going to some of the places, the mix booth or the indie mega booth and things like that, where there's a high concentration of, independent projects, sitting right there. And so that's why you always have to have your business cards. And I know so many people are like, oh, business cards are like, nobody uses them anymore. Bullshit. Everybody uses them, and they're key because that's what you remember from something. So, make sure that you have it and hand them out. A business card you bring home that you took does you absolutely no good. Don't leave them sitting around on tables because that's just like tacky. But give them to people. Say, hey, look, here's our game. Spend your time at that show, whether you're on the show floor or you're in, a hotel lobby or a bar. You've got 3 or 4 days there to absolutely, get in front of as many people as humanly possible. So, take advantage of it. It's, take care of yourself. I've been fortunate 20 years. I've only gotten sick at one conference, and that was actually last year. And at Casual Connect, and I had to completely lay out of the last day of the show because I couldn't get out of bed. But you've got to take care of yourself.
You got to have that hand sanitizer with you all the time.
Yes.
Bump hands with people. You don't have to shake people's hands. At least if you do, don't eat stuff right afterwards. Or you're like, oh, let me check out this game, and you're touching the keyboard and controller after 500 people just touched it.
Yeah. Yes. So, and I usually just know the minute 3 days from con crud, but take care of yourself. Any of those, and all opportunities that you can get in front of somebody and to show them what you're doing and to make that connection, take advantage of it 100%. So you've got your list, you've tiered your list out, you've researched the companies you want to meet, you found the people you want to meet, and you've sent emails and you've got meetings that are booked. Make sure 2 or 3 days before the conference, you follow up with every single person you have a meeting with. Say, hey, look, make sure, we're still on for this time and this day. Because I don't know how many times I get meetings that either they didn't confirm, they double booked, or, something's changed and it needs to be, redone along those times, along that hump, because that's the way shows are. And so, another thing to do is going through, if you're sending invites out through your Google Calendar, go through your Google Calendar and make sure those people have actually responded and confirmed that meeting, because that's what we see happen a whole lot as well. I mean, we've handled shows for anywhere from 5 to 25 companies at a time, and when we go through there and people aren't on time with their meeting, and we look, a lot of times you look and say, oh well, actually they never confirmed it. And so it's a matter of making sure it's in there, reminding them, yes, you're going to get some people that say, oh yeah, I'm overbooked and I can't meet at that time, but you can still carry on the conversation. Don't get discouraged. It happens to everybody. I have never had a show where I want to say maybe I did once, where every single meeting happened. Because it just doesn't. Shows turn into, once you get to the conference, it all turns to chaos. When you're talking about something the size of E3, you may have to go from the back of the Nintendo booth all the way back over to the JW lobby for a meeting. You're talking about 10 minutes walk time. And so if your first meeting in the morning gets off to, and it gets started late, it can throw the rest of your schedule off. And the same with everybody that you're meeting. So once you're at the show, you want to make sure that you've got everybody's cell phone number, so you can send them a quick text, or their Twitter information. Email is a last resort,
because it doesn't always work in the conference.
Not everybody's going to be checking their so that's, if you've got their phone number and you can just send them a quick text and say, hey, this is so and so, and we have right now, I'm at whatever location you're at. It will greatly increase your chances of having these meetings actually happen. But don't get discouraged if they don't. It happens to everybody.
And make sure and make notes about who the person is and why you're meeting them. Because after 3 days, you're like, okay, I'm meeting so-and-so. You're not going to, if you didn't write notes, you're like, why are we meeting exactly, dude? And
a lot of the meeting sites, will actually have pictures of the people. And if you can get that, that's absolutely fantastic as well, because then you know exactly who you're looking for, crowd. But yeah, I mean, it's just, be ready when you get there. Know going in that your schedule is going to go to shit, once you're at the show, and just be ready to adapt to it. I even go so far as actually print out a physical copy of my schedule, because some of these conferences you're going to get there, and even though it's 2018 and we work in a completely forward-thinking technology industry, the damn Wi-Fi won't work.
Yeah, at all. At all.
And so
I've been to stream from some conferences, and I always say, I think putting your picture on your, this is a personal opinion, putting your picture on your business card is important. At a conference, and see here, I have mine. This is my streaming card. People are going to remember that for sure. Oh, you probably can't see it, but people will remember that. They'll look at it and go, oh, this person. And it will click in there. Because if you get a white business card that just says something, something company, you're like, okay, this is one of 100 that I have to go through. Put in my CRM.
Which is what you do when you get back.
Yeah.
Try to cover. But, the more you can do before the show, the better off your show's going to be, in general. But, that's the gist of it. You just have to be ready. One of the boxers, I don't know if it was Tyson or somebody else, said, yeah, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. And that's kind of the way conferences can go sometime. But, if you miss a meeting, say you're meeting with, THQ Nordic, and, the person doesn't show up, or you miss it or whatever, if you know where their booth is, you can go back by, you can go by there, and they'll typically have a business receptionist at the bigger booths and say, hey, look, I had a 10 o'clock meeting with so-and-so and we missed it. Are they here? Can I give you my card? Is it possible to reschedule it? A lot of times they can reschedule, right there on the fly. I mean, sometimes everybody's booked up, but, it never hurts to know, where the booths are, and just get a good understanding of everything. So let's see. So yeah, we covered what to do before you get there, networking, handing out your business cards, because when you hand somebody one, somebody's going to hand one, and that's always good. A good connection to have. Parties. So we'll talk about parties real quick.
You're so tired. It's at the end of the day, and you're like, man, I just want to go and rest. Oh, but there's a party at 9 o'clock.
Yes.
Oh, and there's another one at 11 o'clock. But is it sure? There's an open bar, but is it worth it going to it? Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's not.
I went to the White Knights conference in Prague, and there was one that didn't even start until like midnight or 1, and it went till 4 or 5 in the morning. And I went because I was like, I just never cannot even imagine. But, you know, I didn't stay out that late because I'm old.
Right. When I was at PAX with Animus Interactive, there was there's a meeting tonight. Okay, well, let's go. Well, we'll leave at 10. Okay, well, we left at 10, and I'm beat. And it was not in just a bar. It was in a place that had like Dead Mouse playing. And there's like girls hanging from the ceiling from curtains, like pole dancing, but they're dancing with the curtains. And it was just like douche. And the whole middle of the floor was people raving. And okay, so who were we meeting? And it was all like large websites press. Okay, so here they bought us some drinks. Sure. Well, when does it start? At 2 o'clock upstairs. I'm like, are you kidding me? 2 a.m. That's when you want to meet people? That was crazy. Yeah,
and that's exactly the point. You know, everyone's like, we're the good parties, and we have a question from somebody this week on that, and we'll go into it later on. But the good parties aren't the ones like that. Not if you're trying to do business. If you're trying to get sloppy and, you know, pass out somewhere and completely be useless the next day at the show, yeah, that's a good party. But for business, those are horrible parties to go to. While you're there, you know, at the show, make sure you pick up, you know, things like conference guides and you know, magazines and flyers, not necessarily, you know, a bunch of one-pagers, but, you know, anything that has directories in it, you know, it's good to have for, you know, reaching out after the show for, you know, your own research, add to your CRM and say, okay, hey, look, here's 4 or 5 publishers that we didn't know about. This is what we do day in and day out. You know, we've got 500 and some publishers in our system, and we still, you know, find 5 or 6 publishers at, you know, that are new or developers that we didn't know at every conference. So, you know, those types of things are, you know, are important to grab while you're there. Not, you may not even look at them while, you know, it's good stuff when you get back.
Right.
The next thing, I mean, just in terms of a tip, I prioritize meetings and, you know, meeting new people, getting new contacts, and you know, time spent forging new relationships over education at a conference. So, you know, I don't go to conferences and go and sit in on all the different lectures and, you know, all of that sort of stuff, simply because most of that stuff is available afterwards anyway.
Yep.
You know, you're not going to have another chance to spend 10, 15 minutes with, you know, this specific streamer or a publisher or, you know, whoever it may be that you wanted to meet with. But, you know, you've got time to go back and watch those lectures afterwards. You know, a lot of the shows put them up for free. A lot of the stuff that we have in our YouTube library, and I added a day. But yeah, our YouTube library with the links down below, those are all conference lectures that are free to access. And GDC has the GDC Vault that you have to pay to access. But there's a lot of really good, you know, lectures that are put up online right after these shows let out. So I tend to, you know, if I've got a blank spot in my calendar, you know, one of the last things I'm going to do is go to sit in on a lecture because, you know, I can learn that stuff later.
Unless there's somebody that you really, 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 really want to meet there.
Yeah, because there is always time after they get done talking to, you know, go up to them and introduce them. I mean, it's like, you know, if there's one person you want to meet, you know for a fact at 11 o'clock on Thursday, they're going to be, you know, in that particular area. You know, the flip side of that coin is, you know, a lot of times those people are so those people are so popular and, so sought after, there's going to be a big old long line of people too. So, yeah, I mean, that's a good point. There are situations where you know for a fact XY person that you want to meet with is going to be there. And so, yeah, it's good to go. But 9 times out of 10, you're better off spent, walking around the show. If you want to meet a bunch of publishers, you go to, walk the booth. Even if you can't get a publisher meeting there, if you go up to the people and say, hey, I'm so-and-so with the developer, we have, this game coming out, you can usually get a business card or an introduction, or leave your business card, give you a flyer that's got everybody's contact information, all that kind of good stuff. Go and do that sort of on the ground research, while you're there. And it's like, you can tweet people, or send out an email, or not an email blast, but, put a note on Twitter with the hashtags of the conference. It's like, hey, look, you're around and this is what we're doing. These are the types of meetings that we're looking for. That's always good. That's always good to see too.
We got somebody in the chat.
Hey, Dev.
What's up, Dev?
So then you got to maximize your time, but you got to know your limits. We talked about that. If you're constantly, if you're booked and you haven't slept, and because I always have a horrible time sleeping when I travel, and I know this, so I plan for it. But you need to make sure that you're not, showing up the next day of the show just completely and utterly out of it.
Yeah, I've never actually been to any show and then like the next day been hungover or anything, because I know I'll have maybe 1 or 2 drinks and that's it. Plenty of water the whole time, plenty. And and honestly, like before a show for about a week, I will like eat really healthy. And I know, and I'm larger, my feet get tired really quick, and because I have some weight to carry around, and I know that I need to rest a lot. I can't be on my feet the whole entire time, so I make time to rest as well. I don't just go meeting. I have to have some time to rest and regroup, make notes, that kind of stuff. But that's me personally.
No, you make a very good point though. You got to plan for your attire. I went to GDC one year, and one of the producers for the developer I was with was walking around on the show floor in heel. And I was like, why? By the end of, a full-blown day walking around the show, you're going to be exhausted. I mean, you're going to see a lot of people there, even if they're dressed up with, a sport coat on or whatever, they're still going to have tennis shoes on, because, you are walking and on your feet all day long.
I actually have conference shoes. They have gel inserts.
I do. I remember looking at the shoes and I was like, okay, I could pay an extra $30 or $40 or whatever it was for the special soles, or I can go down to Walgreens and get these Dr. Scholl's gel inserts, and they work just as good, and they're all, and so that's I forgot about that, but yeah, those are really good to have, especially if you're like Indy and I, you're not necessarily the slimmest, most fit people in the entire world. But I mean, that's the gist of it. I mean, we've talked about, coming back from the shows and, what afterwards, and we can go back into that again if we need to, on another show. But I mean, you just have to, you got to do your prep before you get there. And then when you get to the show, you've got to, you got to be agile. You got to be ready for everything to go because of it. But, make the most of your time while you're there, and, be ready. Don't just kind of get up and go, all right, we're going to GDC. Well, hopefully it'll be good.
Yeah.
The more time you invest in getting it right and planning, the better off you'll be.
Big time. Make sure to carry water and carry, and you want to have a good bag. That is important. Having a decent bag to put stuff in. I've seen some people walk around with like those big handbags. No, that's that sucks. I have a backpack, but it also has wheels on it. So, and it has a handle that pops right out. Stick the arm, and I use that the whole conference. It's small. It's not like I'm not running into people or running over their toes with it.
Yeah, I finally upgraded from a messenger bag to a business backpack that carries my laptop and everything. And I swear to God, I wish I'd done it years ago.
Yeah.
You get, yes, if you're an investment banker, it may not look completely normal to be walking down Wall Street with a, backpack on, but, for our industry, it's
you don't need an attaché case.
Yeah. But don't be that guy that like brings your, hiking gear backpack that, is monstrous and knocks everybody over, but it's little things like, just with me and going from the messenger bag, one shoulder, by the end of the day, one side of you is hurting, to, a nice padded backpack, briefcase, world of difference. Absolutely world of difference.
So, the question here, what do we got? How to find good networking parties?
Yes. So, somebody reached out on one of the Discord servers, we asked about, or that I was on, and asked that. And I said we would get to this. The good parties and the parties to plan for are not the big monstrous parties. Yes, Sony used to throw, ridiculous parties at E3, and yeah, they were awesome. But you wouldn't do networking there. That's the thing. And the more publicized that they are, the question was, how do I get into these parties? Not how do I find those? Like, how do I get in if I don't have an invite? Chances are you're not going to want to. That's the, those are those parties that we talk about that, the music's too loud. There's too many people, they've got open bar. And so everybody's out there drinking and half lit and nobody's, thinking correctly. Those aren't the good, they're the good parties if you want to have a good time, but those are not the best parties for networking. The stuff like right after the show, a lot of times they'll have like, little get-togethers or, hors d'oeuvres and stuff like that for right around the show. I know GDC's big about it because they have so many different, there's so many different areas right around the Sony Center. But those are generally good because at that point in the evening, nobody's playing dead mouse and, nobody is too hammered right now, and you can go around and you can have an conversation. If you go somewhere and you can't get through the crowd or you can't hear the person next to you, it doesn't matter who's there. You're not going to be able to connect with them. You're not going to be able to have. So those aren't the good ones to go to, actually.
Exactly. So then they probably don't have those at 9 o'clock at night either.
No, usually after dinner, because a lot of the big companies take clients and stuff out and then they start drinking then. And anything that comes after that is, it's good. Like I said, it's good if you want to have a good time. And some of the, some of the bigger, publishers will have some, really good bands or singers or DJs or whatever playing. But, it's not something that you're going to get a whole lot of networking out of. I'm trying to see if we have any other questions or opinions. I just thought of one that we usually get asked, and now it escaped my brain, and I don't know where it was, what it was doing. So if I think about it, I'll throw it back out there. But yeah, that's the deal with industry parties.
So quick recap, make sure you go to the right conference. If you are looking to get a publisher, going to PAX or E3 is probably not like the best idea. If you're just looking to see all the new products out there, then go to E3 for sure. Let's see. Make sure you have a plan and a method. There, and we listed some websites that you can use. Always check out your opportunities. Make a priorities of things that companies or people you want to meet with. Very small delay. Nice. Let's see. When you reach out to people beforehand, give them some details as to why you want to meet. Don't just say, "Oh, I've got a game and it's a platformer. I want to meet with you guys." Give them a reason to want to meet with you, and make sure and follow up with that a few days before the event. Yes, I just want to follow up to make sure that we are doing this meeting for sure. Kind of out of topic over here. You don't have many conferences? Where are you at? Brazil.
Didn't you just have a conference when there a game conference recently in Brazil? Or am I like hallucinating?
Brazil Game Show, but that's about it.
Yeah, but I for some reason that show popped up in my news feed recently, but I can't remember what it was. But still, all right, so you've got a unique situation, not like completely unique, but not, like folks that are up here in North America or a lot in Europe. That's a prime chance for you to, sit back and do some research and look, I think it's Reboot or one of the shows in Germany just this year started like live streaming their lecture. If you start following the Twitter handles that go along, with the show, Game Connection is, that's a show in and of itself, but they tie into other shows. So they'll have one, at the same time of GDC. They have one at the same time of Gamescom, I think. But then they also have their own specific shows as well. Sometimes you can get access to see who's there, even if you're not there. I mean, they'll send out promotions to try to get, to raise awareness and things like that. So even if you can't go physically to the show, by following, the hashtags and, the site that go along with it, if they have a Twitch or YouTube channel, there's still a lot that you can learn and network and knowledge that you can gather, even if you can't be there. I wish
GDC
more
does
of
that
these
too.
shows would live stream their lectures. I think that is brilliant.
And Casual Connects records all of theirs.
Yeah, and there's a lot of Casual Connects on our library. It takes them a couple of weeks when they get back to get everything edited and posted and all that kind of good stuff, but it's still there. But yeah, I really wish that a lot of these companies would, or a lot of these conferences would live stream. I know some of, like GDC won't. They charge too much money and they're too big. And
there's no GDC live streams? I thought that there were last year.
Not for the lectures. That's what I'm talking about, from the show. Yeah, they all have like news correspondents that go along, for the show and talk to people while they're there. But, I would love to see these lectures get live streamed because, the people like you do that can't make it, to all these shows, where you have to cross oceans to get there, or the companies that can't necessarily afford to go to those shows. Those are the companies that most likely have knowledge from that show, not, the people that are at every single show that goes along, with whatever. Well, they have GDC has started posting some of them, a limited number of them in their open, because you'll see, some of the ones that I added today to the library are from 2017 and 2018. They are fairly recent. It's not all of them, but they do have, some fairly recent ones up in there. And on my list of things to do is to reach out to some more of the conferences, directly and say, hey, look, do you do this? Send us the link so we can put it all, in our library that we're building on YouTube. But, these are the companies that need to be able to, use this knowledge to learn this stuff, but they can't afford to get there, because it's, ridiculous. I mean, GDC, you're looking to drop $15,000 by the time you get done with, flights, hotels, food, the pass to the show itself. I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So, you know, think outside the box. You know, find things that are, you know, running in parallel and reach out to them. Or, you know, if you know, I know you all have an excellent industry group from Brazil, because I've met with them several times. The you know, reach out to those folks if you know somebody else is going, because I think if they're like a lot of the country specific industry groups, that they'll actually subsidize a portion of your flight and your hotel and all that kind of good stuff to go to the show.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you can't and you know someone else who else is going, just tell them, say, hey, look, while you're there, can you pick me up, you know, some directories, or maybe if you have time, look around and see some of the publishers that might be, you know, interested in what we do. You know, it's all, you know, you got to get what you can get sometimes. And the more networked you are and the more, you know what's going on around you, the easier it is to do that.
Get what you get and you don't throw a fit.
Yeah. Judge Smails from Caddyshack. You'll have nothing and like it.
That's funny.
But yeah, I think that's all I've got today.
Yeah. I think so too. Yeah.
Any more questions from the gallery? You can always email us or tweet us, or, you know, all that kind of good stuff too.
With the hashtag Indie Game Business.
And tell all your friends, because we're shooting for 12 more followers today. That's the we want to hit that big 100 follower mark.
You know, I hosted and I didn't get an alert.
You didn't?
No.
Huh. Gotta look into that. All right. We'll figure it out.
All right. All right. Thank you, guys. See you
Thanks, everybody.
next time, or actually next Wednesday for Feature Creep. Ooh.
Yeah. We have a schedule now.
Yeah, and then Jay comes on randomly and just does what he wants.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. All right. See you guys.
Take care.